and thanks again for another edition of Ideas Exchange. This program is also live on our social media handles, Facebook and YouTube. It's Wednesday, and when we meet in the evenings like this, we talk about issues that affect you and I. We brainstorm on how best we think those in government, policymakers, etc., should join the conversation and national discourse that can help shape our better lives. Tonight, we want to look at critical issues affecting us as a people. I see it as a country that is nose diving. Times are hard. Life is difficult. People are struggling for survival. The truth is that many people cannot make ends meet as easy as it was some few months ago. Fuel, transport. In fact, I know people who say even to move from their homes to their offices have become very difficult. Sometimes they have to borrow before they get to the office and hope that somebody will be benevolent enough to give them some support to be able to go home. And look at this. Light bill, water bill. In fact, today it is difficult to even take pure water. Very expensive. And the videos you are seeing on your screen reflect what people are going through. In fact, these are ordinary workers and their wives. They are buying at the forecourt of the Ministry of Agric. These are people who are paid. So at the end of every month, these people will walk home with some form of salary. We all know it will not take them home. But can you imagine the many people, the millions who don't have jobs, who ordinarily would have survived on the benevolence of people who give them some stipends? These people won't get it anymore because even those who have it are protecting what they have, and therefore they are no more generous. Coatem is now over 100 cities. So if you have malaria, it would mean that you either have to go the traditional way or cough some more to save your life. So sometimes I reflect on those who are very old and are surviving on drugs. Your grandmother, your grandfather, your sick parent who depends on drugs for survival. How are you coping? That's the challenge we are facing as a country. And I've put together all these things under a few thematic areas, which I'll share with you on the screen, which reflect where we are. So the graphics I'll share on the screen now just talks about a few things. Worsening economic crisis, self-inflicted. And we all know the story, from debt to the depreciation of the cedi to what is making your life very difficult. Government's posturing. Government saw long before now, when the figures after the e-levy, so-called savior, disappointed them, that things were going to be tough. That was the time people were saying, downsize, look at your populist policies, look at how you can manage it. Then we know the growing agitations and hardship that is pushing people to misbehave. In fact, I have two short videos I want to share with you because it suggests that the protest, the mass apathy, the lack of investor confidence, businesses relocating, and the impact on revenues and the cedi will continue for a while. And the painful aspect of all these is that many companies are thinking of downsizing. So some people are likely to lose jobs if these companies cannot raise enough revenue to pay them, let alone increase salaries. Today, I hear minimum wage has been increased, and it is just by 1 cedi, 35 pesos. So somebody's pay has been increased by 1 cedi, 35 pesos. Yet a gallon of diesel, we are told it's reduced, is about 20 cedis. How can such people survive on TNT alone, to and from the office, and what they have to eat? And we know, as we speak, that the agitation is not even coming from only the opposition or the masses who sit on the fence. We have people in government, from 80 to 98 MPs, who are just going back and forth on their position on the finance minister. And we know the vote of censure motion is in parliament, and the discussion before the ad hoc committee is already generating a lot of suspicion and mistrust. And I can tell you that the IMF as an institution is closely monitoring what is happening in parliament. And today there was confusion in Parliament about the press corps who are being asked not to take their phones to Parliament or to the chamber, and they are threatening to boycott proceedings in Parliament, and later there had to be a compromise. Was it because of the leaked or the video that has gone viral about certain government official, and I'm making reference to Gabi, who was trying to signal the committee chair or the committee members on whatever he's sharing secretly with them? I don't know. But it triggered that suspicion. And we have confusion in the MPP. Gabi fighting or Seche Mensah Bonsu are here. They have smoked peace pipe. But at least there were some commentaries that suggested that there is deep infighting, which itself is a threat to national security because they are a ruling party. I will share with you who will be with me tonight to talk about all these problems that is making you feel uncertain. 2 videos will reflect the mood of Ghanaians, how people see governance today, and how people are ridiculing the #1 person of the state. Watch this video where people took to TikTok to make mockery of our president they think has now become a talkative rather than delivering results.
Now, baby, your mind do say, Bra Ghana for air bread. May the minim no creful be or war, man, more between the session with Wakasa, a cool year or Ghana. Time a year, Casa.
It may look funny. Yes, of course, anybody who watches this will giggle, but the consequential effects on the mindset of the people is huge. Again, today, I am playing this video not because I'm interested in the content, but I just want you to see how it is reflecting on the lives of ordinary people who are angry. And this woman, I'm told, has been picked by the police because of the threat on the life of the president. But I'm playing it for an effect, for you to reflect on how angry people are with those who must bring us comfort.
From 6 million,
Okay, so I'm sure those of you who have seen this on social media have an idea about the other things the woman said. But in all these, I've observed something I'll share when I introduce my guest to you. He's Dr. Akofa Segbefia. He's not new to the media space in Ghana. He's a media consultant, a lecturer, and I know he's a motivational speaker. And tonight, if you are down, I'm sure before you walk to your bed, he probably will share something with you to lift your spirit. Doc, you are welcome.
Thank you, Eric. It's been a while.
It's been a while. And for many people who are watching me, in fact, if you admire what I do, I can tell you that people like Doc mentored me. I worked with him. He was my boss in a newsroom he established. In fact, he's one of those who were moving around as people with a lot of expertise. Somebody would say establishing media houses. And I know the sweat I had to go through, even with grammar, working under Dr. Akofa Segbefia. You are welcome, sir.
Eric, you make me feel old. We were colleagues.
If I look at your gray hair and I look at my bald head, I refuse to be your colleague.
You don't want your gray to show.
Of course, that's on a lighter note. But Doc,
right.
The preamble was just to reflect on the mood in the country today. When you sit back and look at Ghana 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago and where we are, you think we are making progress or we are retrogressing?
I think, well, before I answer that, let me say good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners. I'm glad to be here. You know, I have stayed away from the electronic media, for 1 or 2 reasons. And you have managed to yank me out of my comfort zone to come here. Well, 50 years ago, the dreams that some of us had were being attained until very recently, when things, just spiraled out of control. Just not even a year, just a few short months. It's disheartening. It's disconcerting. It is, I want to say, people are, people are despondent. This never happened before. Let me take your viewers back to the mid to late 70s, when we had the Achampong Akufo regime. It was a military government. We virtually had to even queue for toilet roll. Everything was called essential commodities, so we had to queue for them. We queued, but we were not this despondent. During the Rawlings era, I was out of the country, but I was home for a holiday when 31st December happened. And we had to struggle at the Ministry of Interior to get exit permit to move out of the country. Then in '83, the rains stopped, hunger set in, and then people started losing weight. You saw people's collarbones, that were referred to as Rawlings chain. But then, Ghanaians were not this despondent. Then come 2022. There is nothing under the earth that you cannot get to buy in Ghana. But you cannot afford. People have become despondent. And leadership of the country is not listening. Leadership is not listening. Because, look, people started talking about the economy because they were not part of government. Every government machinery or government communicators would come on media platforms and tell us everything was good, everything was going on well, and things like that. Today, those who started giving us the warning signs have indicated. They are vindicated. I thought you were going to ask me, have I eaten anything before even coming to the studio today? Then it tells you, what this country is going through. You said something. You mentioned Coatem. That used to be 15 cedis. Less than
over 100 cedis.
Yes. I used to get Nevanac for about 50-something cedis as eye drops. Today, it's 110 cedis. So, where are we going? And it is not as if, let's look at it from this perspective. What is happening today is something that some people had even predicted years ago. But then, when our politicians are on the political platform asking us to give them the chance to prove themselves, they make all manner of statements. And when they come to office, it is the direct opposite.
Now, you are a communicator. Very often, government has suggested that everything is on course until recently. And even then, the narrative has been that it is not self-inflicted, but it is a result of the global trends and pressures here and there. Now, when they speak this language, and you sit back as somebody who may have groomed many of them, and they speak the language we hear today, do you become disappointed? You feel they are making Ghanaians more angry, or they are explaining themselves out?
They are not explaining themselves out. You see, they are taking the citizenry as dances who don't reason. That is what they are doing. You see, Because how can you explain this thing away? For example, government communicators always talk about the COVID-19 pandemic. Now it is Russia, Ukraine. But then,
now it is the traders.
Why do we blame the traders? Because they say traders, they are speculating. Listen, Eric, speculation is what drives commerce. Otherwise, why would you establish a stock exchange? It's all speculation. That's it. So nobody can blame traders. You understand that? I used to tell people that given what operates in Makola, if our traders in Makola would have a good measure of intellectual capacity, they could be better ministers of finance, ministers of trade and commerce, than all of us who have gone to universities and have got chains of degrees in those fields.
Why? Because
how the market moves, they are able to predict. That is how commerce, subsists. They predict that this time, this is what is going to happen. They know what to do at any given time. Listen to those traders. You marvel at their level of intelligence when it comes to what they do. So why do you blame traders? Now, government is still talking. Now, traders have become the third force. The first one was the COVID. But our president has kept touting that Ghana has done better in handling COVID than all those advanced countries. So why do we... So what it means is that let's eliminate COVID now out of the equation.
Because we had control over it.
We had it.
So that's the meaning of it.
Yes. So let's take that one out of the equation. Now let us dwell on Ukraine. I have already taken out the traders now. Ukraine. Even the World Bank is talking about Ukraine. The United States of America, all the big economies are talking about the effect of Russia's invasion of Ukraine on the world economy. It is very true. But how come other countries are managing this better than us? Our CD has fallen so fast, it has even broken the sound barrier. Remember Nana Akufo-Addo, on one of his campaign platforms, he said that if he were either Atta Mills or John Mahama, and once $1 was 3 cedis, he would have apologized to Ghanaians. So when he gave his fellow Ghanaians thing on the 30th of last month, I was expecting him to apologize how many folds?
But that address was supposed to calm nerves and assure us of steps government was taking to address our problems.
Did it calm your nerves? I listened. I heard only one thing. The admission by the president that the economy was in crisis. Aside of that, he didn't say anything new. He only rehashed certain orders that he had given far earlier. 30% cut in salaries of public office holders, blah, 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 blah. I was thinking he was going to tell us that when he gave the directive for 30% slash in their salaries, this is the quantum of money government has saved as a result of that.
What could be going wrong? If I look at you and guess your age, President Nana Akufo-Addo should be your peer.
He's far older than me.
Right. But what could be the reason for somebody of that level with all the experience in politics to be seen to be making so many mistakes that he might go down in history as one of the worst under our democratic dispensations?
I will tell you something. He is not alive to confirm or deny it, but I'll say it. In 2009, I met with the late Major Courage Koshigan. That was just about a year into the Atamil's administration. Met him at Asylum Down. We had a long discussion. What brought the rift between him and Rawlings? He spoke about Hawa Yakubu. He spoke about a lot of other people. And why he went to join the NPP, you know, and the suspicions that the NPP guys even had around him because of his relationship with the PNDC. And he said something. He said it was his prayer that Nana Akufo-Addo never became the president of this country. Otherwise,
why?
He didn't give reasons. The reason he gave was that if he became president, we are going to fight for Ghana's independence over again.
This is very instructive and has a lot of weight.
Yes. He told me this in 2009.
Now, so I struggle to...
So, now that these things... And then, Kofi Kumsin said, if Nana Akufo-Addo became president, he wasn't going to be able to sleep. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo said something that, look, you don't know this man. When he becomes president, Ghanaians, you're going to have the bitterest experience. So it means there were people who knew him.
And Kufuor has also said something.
Yes, he alluded, yes. You understand what I'm saying? So it was when all these things started falling in place, then I quickly remembered
the late Courage Kwashiga.
Courage Kwashiga. Incidentally, he died on my birthday, the 5th of January 2010. You know, so because of that, I always reflect the discussions that I had with him. You know, when he was in Qatar Secondary School, I was in Zion College. You know, and so with all the things that are happening now, look, Ghanaians started crying, Mr. President, the vehicular convoy that you travel with is too much. Cut it down. He's not listening. And you see, the 80 members of parliament from the MPP side, they had saved this country. They brought a lot of calm. They were the ones who calmed nerves.
How do you say so?
Yes, I say so because you see, the agitation among people, there were more, there were going to be spontaneous demonstrations.
Was it reflective of the hooting and the booing and what happened at Hugbechocho,
you know,
for example?
No, you see, this thing has never happened in Ghana's history. The president went to meet some youth at Independence Square.
Right.
They booed him. He is known to be a very good dancer. Young men and women are there boogieing. Study the ambience, the climate around the place. Get on stage, start dancing with them. They will give you fans. Then through that, you can begin to sway and deliver your speech. But you don't cut through them, they will hoot at you. Then he went to his own stronghold, Ashanti region. They booed him. His own home area, Achima Kroso, they booed him. Then, unfortunate Dr. Bawumia goes to Hogbachocho, and the Asantehini gave a very classic speech, trying to recall the history of unity between the Anglo and Asante, dating back to 1865. Agreeably, the vice president had a prepared text. But having listened to Asantehini, the Gamanche was there. I hear the Kwawumahini was also there. So you see, 4 traditional areas, major traditional areas, converging on one place. And the Asantehini delivering that particular speech. Put aside your prepared text. Tell the gathering that Nananum Asantehini has said this. Yes, let us, as one people, Ghana, let us come together so that the challenges that are facing us, we all put our shoulders to the wheel and see how best we can do it, people would have clapped for him. But he went on the tangent of talking about construction of bridges, construction of dams, construction of 1D, 1F, and all those things. The people are hungry.
Was it a provocative posturing at the time? Because it's on record that when the same enclave suffered tidal wave bashing, we didn't see the likes of the vice president level in terms of the governance structure in the enclave. And the people have had related concerns over a non-existent catapult, which is just about 10-15 minutes drive away from Angloga, where the festival was. And so is it that Ghanaians have become gullible and therefore people may want to take them for granted, or Ghanaians are now awakening, and that is why you see people trying to use TikTok to embarrass the president, or in this case physically boo him to show that they are not happy?
No, you see, it could be an amalgam of all those things you have talked about. You understand that? The people are getting frustrated. You know, no ordinary person was called from the crowd to come and, you know, express, you know, so that it could be seen as having been, you know, brought out all of a sudden. But the pent-up feeling was already there. So the best the vice president could have done was what I suggested he could do. Asking people, come around, there are economic challenges, let us all help to push this country forward. Nobody would have booed him.
And you think Ghanaians will listen? Because if people are already angry, disappointed,
no,
think that
you see,
promises have been made,
it depends,
not fulfilled, how do you speak like that to them?
You know something? Maize is grain for fowls.
Right.
When you open your palm and you give it to the fowls, they can even peck at it from your palm. But when you collect the maize as pebbles and you do this, they'll run away. They'll think you want to throw stones at them. You understand that? It's the same maize. So it depends on how you give it. You understand? This is where I give thumbs up always to Jerry Rawlings. You know, Rawlings will have his prepared text. All right. He goes to a place, he studies the climate, he studies the ambience, and then he pushes the prepared speech aside and he addresses the people, and the people understand his language. You understand that?
Was it because, I'll give you time to expatiate more on this Rawlings example, because many people agreed that describing him as an ordinary man, the grassroots man, and so on, he had a certain attitude that naturally attracted people. Some said it was charisma, others still describe it as leadership skills. But the leadership skills of a certain Rawlings, now the late, let's give him all the accolades that he deserves, was described as somebody who didn't even finish school and therefore couldn't have been the caliber of people we see today in government or holding certain positions, and let me use the word advisedly, messing up.
You see, yes, I have watched a lot of documentaries where people have described Rawlings as somebody who was not qualified to be a military officer. He wasn't qualified to be a military officer. Yet he ran this country for 20 years, right? So it is, you see, it is what the person has done. He was a man of the people. He didn't complete which school? He completed Achimota School.
Right. But
otherwise,
at the time they were saying,
if he hadn't passed his O-levels, he couldn't have been commissioned as an officer. Of course, he may be a non-conformist. You understand that? He may be an army officer. There are certain things, if you're an army officer, the line between the officer corps and the junior ranks, a certain line is drawn. But he found a way of associating with the other ranks. You understand what I'm saying? But that was what was in his nature.
Was it leadership qualities? And leadership qualities, can it be learnt and entrenched within somebody's system,
yes,
to be able to operate?
Yes, why not?
Do we lack it today?
Why not? What leadership do we have? We have, you see, when there is leadership in our government. There are people who are leading this country. Who do they listen to? Who do they account to? I wonder if they account even to themselves. Because they don't know accounting. So if they can't account to themselves, how can they account to you? We were told that billions of dollars or billions of cedis came into this country as a result of this COVID thing.
Right.
That we manage better than all countries. How much was spent on what till today? Nobody has any figures. So what leadership do we have? What leadership do we have? It's as if we are less concerned. At the end of the day, the president comes to insult the nation by telling us, Sikam PDD. Look at the fellow Ghanaians that he delivered on the 30th of last month. What is the correlation between Sikam PDD and all the message that he sought to deliver that day? What's the correlation?
He sought to suggest that speculation was driving the depreciation of the city.
Then he has no business being there. That's why I said that speculation is what drives commerce. It's as simple as that. You think people who are running banks, they speculate. People who are running Forex Bureau, they speculate. Stock exchange, they speculate. So when they know that they begin to watch a certain trend, they say, let me sell these shares before trouble comes. Before you realize the share of that particular company, it collapses.
How do you feel for your colleagues who may be on pension, who may not be working and are dependent on their children, who are struggling today?
It is not easy. It is not easy. There are times I call my children. I say, how are you doing? My eldest daughter will say, Daddy, this is not a question to ask because there is no answer for it. It's as simple as that.
It's pathetic.
It's pathetic.
You feel sometimes like weeping for this country.
It's not a matter of feeling to weep for this country. I weep for this country. This is not the Ghana that I expected to live for my children and my grandchildren. No. Because I have kept telling people that I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I could have taken US citizenship. I could have become a citizen of Nigeria because I have half siblings who are from Nigeria, who are Nigerians. I could take up Nigerian citizenship. But I said, no, I love my country. Let me stay in Ghana. And if you tell me to even forecast what the next 5 years will be for Ghana, I'll tell you I don't know.
That's serious.
I'll tell you I don't know.
So is it self-inflicted?
It is listen.
And collective in this extent?
You see, the thing is this. Why it is self-inflicted is that there are economies around us that shouldn't perform better than Ghana. But they are managing all this global situation better than us. It's self-inflicted because our people are not listening. Listen, we were in this country when something came, is it e-levy they call it?
Right.
So as a result of e-levy going to be introduced, road tolls had to be scrapped. Even then, there was a lot of arrogance to that. Because Parliament should have approved all those things before they were executed.
Because the road tolls itself would have brought us so much money.
More than the e-levy.
So the arrogance is part of where we are.
Exactly. So now they are contemplating bringing back road tolls and they're stuck. Because when they were warned, they didn't listen. Now they cannot even come back to apologize and tell, look, we have goofed. We are bringing back the road toll. They can't even do it. Now the e-levy that is supposed to give them 7-point-something billion, now we are talking about a few hundreds of thousands of cities. Because Ghanaians have wisened up. You understand that? And then they blame it on the opposition. What do they expect the opposition to do about this? I have my money. I have my money that has been paid to me. Maybe my salary. and the various taxes on my salary have been taken. Then I said, no, I can't keep it in my pocket. Let me keep it on my phone. That one too, when I transfer money, you take part of it. That's stealing. They don't want to understand. Then people say, okay, let's wait. So people who otherwise would have transferred maybe 500 cedis to somebody, they'll say, hey, my friend, I'll spread it over 5 days. So each day, 100, each day, 100. At the end of the day, 100 multiplied by 5 is gone. The percentage doesn't go anywhere else. You see, our leaders they don't want to listen. Now today, members of their own party are now telling them enough is enough.
The cup is full.
Well, if you say the cup is full, it means there must be a spillover. If there is a spillover, none of us will be able to survive.
Of course, when we come back, my guest is Dr. Akofa Segbefia, media consultant. He's a lecturer and, of course, a motivational speaker. Our next conversation will be looking at what can we do almost immediately to change the narrative, because the business community relocating to Cote d'Ivoire or Togo or any other neighboring country, or the investor who is holding on his money, or somebody who is now looking on to how he can make some dollar available to cushion him or herself as some form of security, all these activities obviously will impact negatively on all of us. When we come back again, we'll also be looking at, so what do we do as a people to survive this uncertainty ahead of us beyond an election? Because that is 2 years away if nothing changes. And I'm sure you monitored proceedings on the floor of Parliament when the ad hoc committee had to begin their conversations on the censure motion against the finance minister. What does it tell you? Is it about time the masses began to send strong signals to members of Parliament that you don't come on our ticket that you are for us and go there to do your own things and only return after 4 years to make us feel like you think about us? Stay with us.
Best Wine is your one-stop wholesale and retail outlet for all your original favorite brands of wine, liquor, champagne at unbeatable prices. You can get discounts of up to 15% off. We provide customized solutions for your events with our event planning and catering services. Buy your well-stocked hampers from us at great prices. Best Wine is also a major distributor of ex-natural mineral water. Locate us at number 34 Ni Norte Nyanchi Street, Jowulu, or call 050-761-3900 for delivery or for more inquiries. Best Wine, caliber of wine and liquor at its best. Welcome to the Royal Dazzle Event Center. With a lush and well-maintained lawn and garden, you are assured of the best serene and comfortable atmosphere to organize all your family and social events. Live the royal moments here with friends and family. The hosting capacity of 600 to 800 people makes Royal Dazzle the most versatile of places to host weddings, parties, funerals, conferences, concerts, and many more. Create your memories with us. Call us for inquiries on 055-814-8585 or 024-620-2144, or pass by and speak to any of our friendly staff. Locate us at Myjohn, close to Zoom Lion headquarters. Royal Dazzle Event Center, creating memories.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure. Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check. Visit Auto Checks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks, check.
Auto Checks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
Welcome back. This is TVXYZ. Of course, if you have a car, you want to make sure you go through the processes to make sure you can drive comfortably on the road without police checks here and there. Auto checks will be there for you. Of course, we also told about X natural mineral water. Just look for the sale points, get them in large quantities for your event. Now, my guest in the studio is Dr. Akofa Segbefia. Our topic is Ghana on a blink, uncertainties and threats. Doc, so we know the problem. Yes, somebody will say we've heard it over and over again. So survival of the fittest. People are now finding means of surviving, and they don't know what it will look like in the next month or two. Sometimes, personally, when I leave home, I reflect. So, assuming I'm not paid at the end of this month, what does it mean to me? It's a disaster.
It is.
Because I cannot go to any of my siblings and say, I want you to keep me surviving, because there's nowhere.
How are your siblings themselves surviving?
So
That's
it's a serious issue.
It is.
And there are people already out there who wake up on a daily basis and they have 2 children, 3 children, 4 children, 5 children. And these children don't know what is happening. And the things that appeared normal in the homes no longer exist. People are not buying data. So the children who had access to data so they can play on their gadgets because lifestyles have changed would have to adjust. Now, such people, how should they manage their homes?
No, you see, it will be difficult to suggest how they should manage their homes, because the situation differs from one home
to the other.
For example, children want to wake up in the morning, they have breakfast, they have their 3 square meals a day, they want to play, they must play. They want to eat, they must eat, otherwise they will cry. You can't even explain to your 10, 11, 12-year-old children that this is what is happening, so reduce your banku intake, reduce your kinky intake.
This time,
you understand?
Because in my home, for example, what I've started doing is that you don't eat bread by heart like it used to be. So very soon I'll put a ruler by the bread as it used to be when I was young.
And yeah,
that's where we are getting to.
That's why we are getting to. And when it happens like that, your children are going to rebel. They see you from a different light all of a sudden. Because how do you put a tape measure on bread? You can't explain that one to your children. They won't understand. They don't need to understand. You see the point? I was telling a couple of friends the other day that if I were the president of this country, I would be the laziest president. You know what?
No.
I will cede all powers to the institutions. The security services, the civil service, the public service, Shraj, the judicial service, so that as president, I will not have the headache of hearing people say, I have packed the judiciary with judges who are sympathizers of my party.
You allow them to operate
so that,
and you monitor and sanction faults.
That's it.
But that's how it's supposed to be.
That is how it is supposed to be. When you do that, you free your desk. Your desk is free. So you can begin to call your ministers and ask for daily reports after you have received security reports, daily reports from the national security. From the national security minister. Because every day the president is supposed to be given the security briefing. Thereafter, then all you have to do is to be calling the ministers and checking on what is happening. So that you are not accused of bringing your lackey as the electoral commissioner to skew election in your favor. You are giving yourself an unnecessary headache. Free the system. Let the system work. Let the system work. You see the point? Let the system. You see, look at what is happening.
What do you think should be done for that poor man on the street who, by no fault of his, has to struggle, perhaps begin to wear Rollins chain? Because during COVID, there was some semblance of an attempt to cushion the people. In other countries, even in the US, they are doing it.
Yes.
In UK recently, I read reports about some attempts of some form of support for people who are in need. In Ghana, is it possible at this stage? Otherwise, it would be a security threat on us.
You see, unless there is a reversal of the things that have created the problems.
Like?
You see, this particular government has got more financial inflows than all the governments that have existed before put together. That's why I'm saying that they cannot even account to themselves, let alone account to us. Until they listen to us, they listen to the people who are talking. So you are, look, you have sat on television, you have said XYZ, okay, come. Tell us how we should do it. Listen to the people. There are people in this country who are ready to put their expertise at the disposal of this country, irrespective of who is in political. You see the point? Irrespective of when President John Mahama called recently for something akin to the Senchi something. Consensus. Look at the way they descended on him.
As if it was a crime.
Mr. Kwame Pianim, a leading member of the MPP, suggested a similar thing. I think Professor Stephen Ade also said a similar thing. The people in leadership are not listening until they listen. Eric, you know what is going to happen very soon? Those of us who have cars, people will just be waiting on you. Immediately you move your car out of your house. The other carry a cudgel or a knife or a gun to your head. Give me 100 cedis, let me go and feed my children. Otherwise, I gun you down or I slash you. And they are not people who are going to be bare-chested. You see them as lunatic in the streets. They will be people who are in long sleeve and flying tie. Because there is nowhere else they can turn to feed their family. So this one is going to be direct and frontal. That is where we are heading to.
Are we able to stop where we are getting to?
If leadership wants to stop it, it should be able to stop it.
Now, let me give you this scenario.
Leadership should be able to stop it.
The snippets of information we are getting from friends we have within government is that cracks are beginning to emerge. There is the majority group which form part of government or are members of the party who feel the few family and friends who have formed the epitome of the structure are manipulating things that are creating problems not only for the country but even for the future of the party. Is it good? Is it bad? Or perhaps it is just cosmetics we are observing?
No, I don't think this is cosmetic. I think those who are agitating within the NPP itself
today,
yes, they are not rabble rousers. They are seeing it, and a good number of them are seeing what is ahead of us and are praying for those things to be stopped. Listen, Mr. President, we don't want Oforiatta as Minister of Finance. What is difficult in asking him to step aside? Then you call your cabinet and tell your cabinet, you people keep quiet. It was his data bank that financed my electioneering campaign.
You surprised that?
So you put him there so that he can recoup the data bank money? Does that make sense? to somebody who is leading 31 million of his countrymen by that kind of statement?
You sound
What
angry.
What kind of...
Don't beat me.
I am pissed off. Eric,
I'm just trying to calm you down.
Rico, I am pissed off. But it's a simple thing. You understand that? But he doesn't want the man to go. He should finish with the IMF thing. He should finish preparing. Now the MPs are telling him, if he comes to the floor of parliament, we will not be there to listen to him.
Are you surprised that with all the people MPP claims, we have the lawyers, we have the men and so on, it was Gabi who was in parliament to represent his cousin, who is the finance minister, taking into consideration perceptions about Gabi and the things they think he's doing in government or influencing government to do. What does it communicate to Ghanaians when you saw him in parliament before the ad hoc committee that I am his lawyer rather than any other lawyer?
No, you see, when we talk about family and friends, we talk about Achim Mafia and all these things. These things are developing characters of their own. Because those who are supposed to constitute that mafia are not making any effort to diffuse that perception. So the perception is rather crystallizing into a reality. You understand what I'm saying? Now, people have been saying, how can you contract a loan and your company? And then people are saying, oh, he was doing it when his company was doing it when NDC was in power, blah, 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 blah. But we talked about morality.
Conflict of interest.
We are, exactly. You understand that? So he puts on white apparel every time he comes out, quoting the Bible from Genesis to whichever is the last one, Revelations, and things like that. The devil is not ugly. The devil is not ugly. Otherwise, the devil will not have followers. So you put on white to come and mesmerize the people.
So when we are wrapping up, when you sit back home and Ken Ofori-Atta sits on your set and he's talking to you, how do you feel?
I don't listen.
What do you think the investing...
I don't listen anymore.
Why?
To what?
He's talking.
He talks after 1.5 paragraphs, then he quotes a Bible text and all that kind of thing. Oh, man. Then what are the other bills doing for me on Sunday? Let those who are pastors, let them do their job. You do your job as a minister of whatever. Look, all these advanced countries, how many of their leaders come to deliver something? The only civil thing they do is good morning, and then they start. They never mention God in anything. They never do. Meanwhile, the last time BBC did a survey, there were over 66,000 churches in Ghana alone. 66,000 churches. Not chapels where people go to worship. Different churches. 66,000 in Ghana alone. Yet, those people who don't go to church anymore, on Sunday they have the beach. They are the ones who eat, and the surplus is sent over to us.
Doc, we are wrapping up. I deliberately want you to speak to members of parliament. I want you to stretch it to speak to the conscience of our president as an elderly statesman. What would you tell them to do for Ghanaians?
You see,
that's your camera.
The members of parliament. I have a representative in parliament. 3 of them, because I'm ordinarily resident in one constituency. I was born in one constituency, and I hail from another constituency. Whether you are in majority or minority, both minority and majority want Ofori-Atta out of the way. Now, why do you have to haggle with one another over the methodology? You want the man out. Come together and ensure that the man goes. Of course, his going is not going to solve the problem. But you see, immediately we are told that he is gone, you will see how the city will begin to, appreciate. Watch it and see. So, listen, and you know, we, your constituents, we are watching. Next time you come to us, come to me and say, you want my vote. I don't have the voice to hoot. But the next elections, oh, what is going to happen is hooting. It's if things don't change. Those of you who are government MPs, and you are following the leaderless leadership, you go and mount the platform and see. It's Bomowo, it's human beings that will be hooted at. Hooting is now being institutionalized in this country. Mark it. So you members of parliament, I am making a passionate appeal to you. Please, listen to the voice of reason.
And the president should listen.
No, because, you see, now that you, especially the MPP guys in parliament, now that you have taken the fight to the president, he is bound to sit up and listen.
Well, that's how I want to end tonight's edition of Ideas Exchange. Full of wisdom, and I believe that it is an emotional conversation because it touches you. As I wrap up, I only pray for mothers and fathers who have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 children. Just last weekend, my daughter said, Daddy, it's visiting. So when you are coming, bring me water. I was in my house when a cyclist honked and I opened my gate. He's selling water. I said, give me sachet bags, 10. And I went inside the room doing something on my laptop. Then my daughter, my last child told me that, Daddy, they say it's 90 cedis. I said, what? Nso 10 pe. Medinumu 5, medinuko school. That's 100 cedis. Somebody is earning 500, 600, 800 cedis a month. So very soon, apart from the Rollins chain that is already showing on people, you may have to start drinking water tied as we knew. Ice water is what people will drink. And I'm not surprised that before the Greek ministry, now I'm told they have taken it to Makola, civil servants, Navy officers, immigration officers struggling over one bunch. And I want them to show that video on the screen as I wrap up. Just one bunch of plantain. You see people who are working as civil servants who are struggling over who should pick a bigger one or a smaller one. It's a shame. It's pathetic. And as you see on the screen, I just want you to watch this while my voice will say good night. And let's pray for Ghana.